Oh man, that's got to be Piccadilly coffee. It tastes so great.
Matter of fact, Matt, that is Piccadilly coffee.
Oh, that is the best coffee I've tasted in a long time.
Wow. Fun fact, if you want to get more, you can actually use a discount code called Mitchell Jones 20 for 20% off all your items at Piccadilly Coffee.
Oh, nice.
So if you want bags like this, or bulks of bags, or bigger than this, or more coffee, or even t-shirts, sweaters, skateboards, mugs, all different types of gifts, use the discount code MitchellJones20 for 20% off on their online website. Yeah, that's MitchellJones20 for 20% off. So go to piccadillycoffee.ca, use that code, and get some nice items for your loved ones or yourself. Mitchell Jones 20.
There you go.
There we go.
There we go. Yes.
Not bad, eh?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yes.
Welcome, Matt, to the Absolute Podcast.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Is this your first podcast?
Very first podcast.
Well, if you can't tell, Matt is a Scottishman since day one, I hope.
I'm glad you used the proper title. Scottishman. A lot of people say Scotsman. Scotch is what we drink.
Oh.
You don't say we're Scotsmen. We're not Scottish or Scotch.
Oh, okay.
Scotch is what we make. It's called whiskey.
But it's Scotsman. You're a Scotsman.
A Scotsman, yes.
Scotsman?
Scotsman. Scotsman.
Okay.
Scotswoman, you know.
Cool. Speaking of man, I had a pretty crazy story today. Oh, ba-ding. You're a popular man. I was at the ski resort today, and the first time ever, I was stopped in my own tracks on not sure what to say in a moment. And I was walking to the bathroom, okay? And there's a woman in front of me, and there's a man behind me, and we were all walking to the bathroom. It just happened that that's where we're all going, but we didn't know each of us were going that way. We get to the bathroom. The woman starts to walk into the men's bathroom, and the man behind me, and then I'm in the middle. And the first thing I wanted to say was, "Whoa, that's the wrong bathroom." But then I had the thoughts in my head where I was going, I can't say that's the wrong bathroom, because what if she's a man that looks like a woman? And then I was like, what if she's a woman that identifies as a man? And I was confused on if I was going to get in trouble if I said anything. And then I just let her walk into the bathroom, and she figured it out herself that it was the wrong one.
Well, if you ever get in that situation before, next time you get in that situation, you just be polite. Just say, "Excuse me," and if you think she's like, "Excuse me, madam, I think you're going to use the wrong bathroom." And if you're polite, she'll probably answer you polite, whether she's a man or dressed as a woman, or a woman dressed as a man. Just be polite.
I don't know. I stopped in my tracks and I didn't know what to say. And then the guy behind me, I was like, I didn't know what to say. I was like, what if she I was like, there's no way that idea of the world, like of man and woman, like screwed me up that much where I couldn't say anything.
Well, it's difficult times in these times because you've got to think about, to say the proper thing. You've got to watch what you say, watch what you do, watch the language you speak to someone. It's unfortunate, but no, I would, if it was me, I would have just said, "Excuse me, madam, I think you're going to use the wrong bathroom." And if you say it in a polite way, she'll probably answer in a polite way. And
Yeah.
Then
Right.
you'll know.
Yeah, I was nervous.
But I mean,
I didn't know what to say because
I went with a friend of mine. That was me and a friend of mine and his wife, and we went for a meal. And he got up to go to the bathroom, and I got up maybe 5 seconds later to go to the bathroom. And I went to the bathroom, and I said, "Where's my friend?" Couldn't see him. I came out. He still wasn't. Went back to the table. He still wasn't there. And I'm looking at this, and I said to his wife, "Where's so and so?" "In the bathroom." I said, "Well, he's not in the men's bathroom." So my friend came out, and I asked him, "What bathroom did you go in?" He said, "No, the furthest away one." I said, "That was the ladies." He said, "Oh, I was wondering why there was no urinals." I said, "Well, now you know."
That's funny.
It's just, but as I say, this day and age, it's hard. It's
it's difficult.
You've got to be polite. As long as I always figure if you're polite to someone will be polite to you.
Right.
And that's the way it is,
What you give to them, they'll give back. So.
Yes.
Right. Well, Matt.
Yes.
Scotsman. Since day one, what year was that? What year were you born? What?
I was born in 1948.
There's some time under your belt.
31st of January 1948 I was born.
And how long did you live in Scotland?
I lived in Scotland till I was, let me think. I was 17 when I first left the house, and I went and I worked away in different parts of the country, and then I went into Europe and worked in Europe. Then I came back to Scotland. So probably the first time would be when I came to Canada. When I came to Canada in 1972.
That was the kind of the official depart kind of thing?
Sort of. I came and I worked in the big oil refinery expansion then. I was here for a couple of years, and I went back home to Scotland. I was there for maybe 6 months, and I came back to Canada. I went up and I worked up in Port Welder Dry Dock. I worked there for a while, and I left there, and I come down here. And I started working in the paper mill. And I went from the paper mill to the paper mill. I left there. I left the paper. Well, there was a big strike on at the paper mill, and a lot of jobs were lost. And I went from there. I left 91, and I went, and there was no work here, and I kind of stuck it out because I lived in St. John at the time.
Yeah.
I stuck it out for maybe nearly 3 years. At the end I went up to London, Ontario. I went up there, and it was with General Motors. And I went up, and where I worked for General Motors, they didn't build cars. They built railroad engines, locomotives, and they built armoured vehicles. And I worked in the locomotives for about 10 years, and then I went over and I worked in the military side for armoured vehicles for another 10 years, up to 2013. Then I retired.
Wow.
And I came back to here.
So most people are probably wondering, what did you do for work?
I was mostly what you would call a fitter welder.
Feather welder?
Fitter welder.
Oh, fitter welder.
Yeah, you built things and you tacked them and together and welded them. You pipeline. And I worked in the pipelines for a while as well. I worked over in Germany for a while. And I worked in Amsterdam for a while. And I worked in a bit of France for a little while. Then I came back and I worked in England for a while.
All as a welder?
All as a welder, yeah.
Didn't you have a story that you only 19 men could go to Canada? Only like 19 men could go to Canada from Scotland, and you got sent over? Where I would be when I went to... I was home in Scotland, and I seen an advert in a paper in Scotland. They were looking for coded welders. Coded?
Coded. That means you've got a certificate. You've got like X-ray. You can do X-ray work.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it was for Port Welder Dry Dock. They were building an icebreaker.
Really?
And I can't remember the name of it. Was it the John Paul Lorette or something? I don't know. I can't remember the name. But there was 20 of us come over from Scotland, and we came in a contract with Port Welder Dry Dock. And I was there for about 6 months. And then when it was up, I left there and I came down here. And that's when I started in the paper mill. Then.
Cool. For the icebreaker, you just built the blade for the ice, or
this is a ship.
The whole thing.
Yeah, you worked on the whole thing, you know.
Okay,
it was quite an experience. But I never realised that an icebreaker on the bow of an icebreaker, the metal's about 6 inches thick.
Wow.
Well, it's going through ice, you know.
Right. That's
cutting
just
through
ding,
ice.
ding all the time.
This icebreaker, it was quite a piece of machinery. I had big, huge turbines up in the bow section. There was big, huge propellers, and it could turn left or right round, and it was quite a piece of work. Did I tell me we get geese in here?
Yeah, I know, that chair is squeaky. In the next half an hour, we might have to sort that out, but right now we'll just have to bear with it.
But I can honestly say, when I came from Scotland, I came from a place in Scotland that was called Govan. Govan, and it was actually a little village inside Glasgow, but it was on the River Clyde, And there was probably on the River Clyde, there was, let me think. There had to be, there's so many shipyards there. And I served my apprenticeship in it was a place called Blair's Engineering. And they built tanks and for like chemical, the ICI chemical.
Okay.
We built tanks for them and all sorts of equipment for them. We built it was mainly all pressure work we had done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I served my apprenticeship there. I left there, and as I say, I left there and I went to a place away up in the north of Scotland, a place that's called Nig Bay.
Where Hogwarts is. Where Hogwarts is. Harry Potter.
It could have been there, I don't know. I never bumped into him, but you know. But anyway, I got up there, and it was, they were building an oil rig.
Oh, right on.
And the oil rig at that time they were building, it was a type of oil rig, they fixed it to the bottom of the seabed.
Right out on the water?
Right, I took it out, it was fixed right to the seabed.
Mm.
They had pre-arranged for, I don't know, concrete slabs and this oil rig was actually it was built on its side, and it was 400 feet long.
Wow.
And it was kind of, it was a, I don't know, like tapered.
Kind of like a pyramid or...
Well, a pyramid, only it wasn't right up to a sharp point.
Right, like a water tower, you know, the
Yeah.
water tower with the stands or whatever.
Yeah. And the bottom it was 400 feet square. And I worked up there for a couple of years up there. And then we worked up there till we finished it. And we built it for a company called Chevron. And then they took it out to the North Sea. And it was amazing how they did this thing. They had big, huge flotation... They took it out actually on its side.
Yeah.
And there was big, huge flotation tanks. 6 of them. 3 on each side. And they had to be, 30 feet long. But maybe 20 feet in diameter. And whatever the gas they had in them, I don't know, but it floated this rig right out. And there's a little ship there, and they were just like, you wouldn't, at that time, now I'm going back 1970, 71. At that time, they had this little ship that went out with it, and it was, I was talking to a chap that was doing it, and he had £12 million worth of electronic gear in it.
Wow, just floating.
For that to take out with this oil rig.
Oh, to get onto it?
No.
Or that was on it already?
It was on it.
Oh, okay.
And they took this rig out and they took it to where they were going to put it. And this little ship pumped stuff into the computer and it blew these big tanks. And it was like you crushing a pop can.
Mm.
That's the way it just crushed it. And that oil rig went from horizontal right up erect and it just went straight down.
That's crazy.
And they fitted it right on the bottom of the seabed. I was amazed. I was totally amazed. Way back then, you know.
What guided that though? I don't understand.
It was an the electronics. It was the way they blew the electronics.
Huh.
It was computerized.
Yeah. But I just don't understand how it like sunk.
They just blew the way they blew them tanks in rotation, so as it would come up like this.
Right.
And then it just went right down like that.
That's crazy.
It was amazing. And you could go and on the 4 corners of that oil rig, from the very bottom of the big huge pipes, massive things. Mm-hmm. That pipe was 8 inches thick, and it was
8 inches thick. Wow.
It had to be about 15 feet in diameter, and you could go from the top of the rig right down to the very bottom of the seabed. It was like watertight doors, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that was when they used to fix them to the seabed.
Mm.
But that was the last one they ever built because then they brought out what they call floating rigs. They could move it anywhere they like, you know.
Yeah.
But that was I enjoyed that job. It was good.
Yeah. It's
We
unique.
were up there in the north of Scotland. There was nothing there. It was just sheep.
Shared some of your lunch with them, eh?
But I was nice that way.
Yeah, that's a really unique story.
But I had a really good opportunities with being a like a fitter welder.
Mm.
Every other trade was looking for you, so you could go work all over the place. You could go. We went to work. Me and this other chap, George, we went to working holiday in Europe.
Mm.
It was great. We just enjoyed that, you know.
Yeah.
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 It was fun. It's a lot of fun, you know.
Yeah. No.
Well, I was only, I'd be 19, 20 then, by then, you know.
Yeah.
So you were just...
Working during the day, partying during the night.
Well, there was a real funny story about a chap. We met him, and I met him in Amsterdam. George and I, we were off that day, and we were up in the park. And you could take beer with you up to the park.
Really?
And he said, "Oh yeah, it was a real nice warm day." So we were sitting up in the park, and we had a case of beer, and you could look down on this. That was called the Kleine Houtstraat, this street in Amsterdam, and I'm watching this chap, and he's, I mean, it's got to be 80 degrees, and he's got a big, huge coat, and he's getting in and out all there's a lot of bars. He's in and out all the bars, you know.
Mm-hmm. Bar hopping.
Yeah. So, you know. So then he came walking up towards us, and I said, "I'm going to talk to this guy, you know." So I said, "Aye, well, he introduced himself first, and we told him who we were and that, you know." He said, "You like a beer?" So we gave him a beer, and he was sitting talking. But when he turned around, he had a big green cross painted on his back, his jacket, his coat, this big heavy coat.
Yeah.
I said, "What's the green cross for?" He says, "I'm pulling a little scam." I says, "Well, how do you scam me?" He says, "Well..."
Wait, before you say it, does he get free wine from these places?
I
knew it.
He gets money. He gets
money. Oh,
they give him money to leave because there was I never knew it. He was telling me there was a place up the road there that was for mental health people.
Yeah.
And they had ones that were inpatients, so when they let them go out, and they had this big green cross printed on the back of their jacket or whatever, or they wore it so the people would know who they were. Well, he would get in the bars. Well, of course, the guy who owned the bar, he wouldn't want that guy in there in case he went haywire.
Yeah.
So he would give him money. Well, he had a big pile of money.
That's funny. That's hilarious.
And I says to him, "You do this often?" He says, "Oh yeah." He said, "All summer." He says, I get enough money. He says, "I can live good in the winter." He says, "And I'll come back in the summer."
He doesn't even have to do anything. Just
So I says to this chap with me, George, I says, "We should get them green jackets. Like he's go out there with that big green cross on it."
That's funny. I thought he was just going to get free liquor just for church or something.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Well, they didn't want him sitting in there and that, you know.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. It was a lot of I enjoyed Amsterdam. I enjoyed Germany. It was good as well. Germany was good. I enjoyed that. It's nice when you meet other people.
Right.
And you realise they're just the same all over. People are the same all over the world.
Yeah, there's a person that travels by sail all over the world, just a sailboat. Like he just travels country to country, all sorts of things. But he noticed he's been to like 140 countries or whatever it was, and he was like, one thing I realized is that everybody's the exact same and they're doing the exact same thing, just different cultures basically.
Yeah, people I found that people, the vast majority of me to talk to you. The thing about Europe was it didn't matter what country we went to, they always wanted to talk to us in English. Because English was a business language over there.
Oh, okay.
See, the English was a business, and everybody we met, Frenchmen, Dutch, there was French, Dutch, where did we go? Oh, well, they always wanted, they would talk to us in English and just talk away to us in English. And I met, the funny thing I ever met was a Dutch man. His name was Tun, Tun, T-U-N, that was his name. And he spoke English, but it was with a Cockney accent.
I don't even know what a Cockney accent sounds like.
A Cockney accent would be like, really? I mean, it's if they were saying they were talking about a set of stairs, they would call them honey and pears. Honey and pears? Yeah, for stairs. Huh. Brown bread was your head, stuff like that, And that's the English he spoke.
What?
Because this guy he had been working with was a Cockney. And he learned all this from him,
That's so funny.
And we were trying to tell him, by the way, that's a kind of special dialect. I think it's East London they talk it in East London.
Oh, okay.
I said, you said, you just got,
I always thought that was funny if you, well, not actually funny, but you could kind of like brainwash your kids into doing that, where it's like, oh no, those are honey and pears,
Yeah.
and then everybody else is like, run up the stairs, and it's like, what? Stairs? Like, no, those are honey and pears.
Funny, he was funny.
Yeah, that is funny.
I enjoyed it. It was nice. It was nice to see other cultures and
I bet.
and how other people live.
Absolutely.
And I honestly believe that it would be a great thing for a lot of Canadian kids to go to Europe for a year, just to see how other people live.
Yeah.
And they come back here and they would really appreciate Canada.
Yeah.
This has been one of the greatest countries in the world here.
You think so?
Oh yeah. And Canada, you can get on. You can see yourself getting on. When I came out, where I lived in Scotland, it was slums, tenement buildings, 1,000 families in one tenement.
Right.
There was no. We never had hot water in our house till I was 19. I was 19 years of age.
That's so crazy.
I went up
to not know what hot water is.
I went up to visit my mum and dad, and I said, "What is that?" They said it was hot water. I said, "Oh, how'd you get that?" And what it was they called it a geyser. That's what they called it, a geyser or a geyser, know. And it was fitted on, and you poured cold water in it, and you heated it. That gave you hot water.
Wow.
Oh yeah,
a little different lifestyle.
A whole different lifestyle. And I, as I said, it was just. And you, in them days when you retired, there wasn't such a thing as a pension. You just retired.
Oh, okay.
No pension.
Just whatever money you had left over?
Whatever money you could save. And when I came to Canada, I can honestly say this, when I came to Canada, I looked and I went, boy, I can see myself owning a house, and I can see myself getting on here in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
That is just one of the greatest countries in the world.
Wow.
It is.
And I mean, you've experienced different ones, so it's...
And I think, as I said, I think it would do a lot of Canadian kids a world of good if they went overseas and seen how other people live.
Yeah.
And how they try me.
Yeah, I know a set of twin boys that close to my age, and they live here where I live, but they actually have all family in Europe, in Germany, and they went and lived with them in Germany because their parents said, no, you're going to go over there for a year and live there just to experience it, then come back and do school and whatever. But they're like, we want you to go out there for 1 year.
Yeah. And
they played American football in Germany. So they did that for a year and then came back. But it was really cool.
It's a really good experience. It really is. You see a lot of different ways people do things and how they think about things, and you see. You go to countries, there's no such a thing as a welfare state or anything like that.
Right. There's no support system for them, right?
There's no support system. They do it, But that's the way it is. But as I say, Canada's a great country. It is a great country. You're.
Yeah, I've had nobody complain about Canada.
No.
You don't hear people complain about it.
No.
I think we're in a little bit of a rocking stage right now, though.
Well, yeah, the world's going through a whole change, whole change. I mean, COVID turned the whole world upside down,
Right.
There was things now that...
Mentally and physically.
Yeah, there was things now that, as I said, it's totally changed. You'll never see them come back again,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's just... But... And then, of course, what's happening in the world today, you don't know what's going to go on.
Exactly. I'm interested in the welding part, because you started welding at 17?
15.
15. Yeah, right. You went to school and it was just work from right after middle school, kind of? Junior?
When I was working, it was a 5.5 day work week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and half a day Saturday. That was your work week.
Mm-hmm.
And I started my apprenticeship. I was 15. And 1 day a week, they sent us to a place that was called Barmulloch College, and it was a trade school. And people think it's amazing, but we would go there 1 day a week, and I went there 1 day a week for 5 years. And every year they gave you four tests, 4 practical tests in welding, and four tests on theory. And if you didn't pass, you never went further. You never went. There was your first year, second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year apprenticeship.
Yeah.
And if you never passed, you never went into your next year apprenticeship.
Mm.
and you'd have to do that over again. And if you never passed it, then you were out the apprenticeship program.
Wow, 2 tries and you're out.
2 tries, and you were out the apprenticeship program. And as I say, I mean, this when we were getting theory, we were getting they were telling the coefficient of linear expansion and how much this piece of metal would expand with how much heat you put in.
Yeah.
A lot of theory in it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I can honestly say that I never used much theory when my apprenticeship was up.
Yeah.
But it's mainly all practical. It's like, you know, it's,
Right. Well, you're not really thinking on how the metal is forming while you're putting heat on it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you understand how it works and how to implement it together,
yeah.
but you're not thinking of
No, you're not saying it's going to no, that
it's going to melt this much. It's going to, you know what I mean? You're just, you get in the state where you just know how it's going to react.
Yeah, you know, but it was, and it was, there's, as I say, and it's always changing. Welding there's always changing.
That's what I was going to get to is, I wanted to know your perspective on welding back in like the 1970s versus 2013 when you retired. Like,
there's big, huge differences. Big, huge. There's more. It's more faster.
Well, it's everything's
the
convenient,
machines
right?
coming in now. You look at a pipeline. Well, when I worked in the pipeline, there would be 3 of us, and you're working in a big pipeline, and you put it together and you weld it
Right.
by hand. Now they just put it together, and they put a machine on it. The machine just goes right round it, welds it.
Is that trustworthy, the machines, do you think?
Oh yeah.
Because they're just right on, they can just find that line and...
Oh yeah, you set the parameters for the heat and everything else, and it just boom. It is. Well, it's more steadier.
Right. True. Yeah, your hand is always...
Yeah, you know, it's more steadier.
But people out in the fields are still doing hand because
they're
they just
still
take trucks and they're just
they're
going.
still doing that. Yeah, you'll still get that, you know, because I mean, if you get to do a repair, you're not going to have a big huge. You're going to drag a big machine out with you and everything else. And that, you know, you just send a truck out with a welding machine on the back, you know, a diesel, and you gouge it out and weld it up and repair it. But it's changing. I mean, I've seen spray welding.
I've never heard of spray welding.
It's just I seen a chap use it once. He was building up a shaft.
Okay.
He had it in a turning lathe and spinning it, and he was spraying this weld onto it.
Huh.
And I know that I've never seen it, but I was told there's such a thing. They call it explosive welding.
Yeah, I've heard of explosive welding.
Yeah.
Is that the same thing?
Yeah.
Is that what is it because it can leave like splatter on it?
No, they just. I don't really know how it works, but I've heard of it. If you were putting a section of a ship on top of a part of the ship, when we're putting the superstructure on the bridge,
Yeah,
a whole unit, and they put this where it was going to sit. This whatever this electrical stuff was. They had put this. There was like powder or something like that, and they put charge right through it. When the two of them come down together, they sent a charge, and it fused the two of them together.
Wow.
There's also
very
and
unique.
of course there's plastic now that are tougher than steel.
Right.
So there's plastic welding coming in there.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about that.
And there's a lot of welding.
There's like plastic guns out there. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's like
You can make them with that
3D printer.
Yeah,
They can make 3D printer guns, which is wild.
I worked with chaps that told me that when I'm getting back, I start in the apprenticeship. You think, oh my, 48, 15, 19, we'll say 40, 50. That'd be 65, 63, something 65. I worked with chaps that were telling me they used to take coat hangers. Like the old coat hanger.
Yeah.
And they would use that for a welding rod, for gas welding.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Oh yeah,
that works. What kind of metal was this? Well,
mild steel.
It was just a steel. Well, all clothes hangers are like plastic now, right?
Yeah. Well, you see, when you're using it, when you're gas welding with it, it's an open flame. They call it a neutralizing flame. And that puts an inert gas round about the weld pool so it won't get contaminated.
Yeah.
But I've heard guys tell me they use coat hangers. I remember one guy telling me he used a piece of barbed wire.
Really?
As a filler for a filler weld. Yeah.
That's crazy.
But as I say, it's different. It's changing so fast.
Right.
Industry's changing so fast. You know. You go into this car industry, them spot welders.
Yep.
Boy, they're spot welding a car in about, I don't know, what, 15 seconds or something like
Yeah.
that.
Crazy.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
You can do that, But they'll always have to be hand welders as well. But because,
Oh, absolutely. There's something somebody can do. You can only get so good of a machine. Well, it's always going to improve. One day it should take over, but right now you're getting under a boat and getting in tiny alleyways.
Yeah.
A machine can't physically get in there at this time and be able to do a certain bead down a corner or something. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, you never that. You never get think that. There's and as I say, there's certain, as you say, and you've heard people talk about robots doing this but there's certain things a robot won't be able to do either. There's certain things that only a human being can do. I remember that I was telling you about that icebreaker.
Yep.
Well, up the front of it, they had what they call double bottoms, and it's layer upon layer. They're just like boxes.
Okay.
But they're steel, and they're all welded together to give it strength.
On the blade, on the
bow, inside
okay.
it.
Yeah.
Well, we get sent in there to weld them. You would have your leg through one hole, and your head through another, and you'd be welding.
Yeah,
your arm through another
just
one.
like peeking over.
Yeah, sometimes if we couldn't get it, you take the welding whip, and you get a broom pole, put it in there.
Oh wow!
Put the rod on it
that way
and weld it that way because you couldn't get near it.
Right.
A lot of different welding. It's come so far now. It's unbelievable. I've no welded I retired in 2013, and I guarantee you, if I went back, there was so many changes. It's unbelievable. So many changes in it. It's
What's some of the biggest changes you think you've seen between now and present day, or 2013, I guess? What do you like safety to tools to the whole operation of it, other than
there's a lot more safety wise. There's a lot more consideration for the worker.
Mm-hmm.
When I worked in the shipyards, there's a trade there. They call him a caulker.
Oh, okay.
And what he would do, he had a big air gun attached to a hose, and it would be, I don't know how much pound per pressure in that hose, and he put a steel chisel in it, and he would cut out metal.
Really?
If it was up a welding seam and he had to weld the backside of it, he would cut that backside out to give you a groove to weld.
Really?
Well, you can imagine the noise that would make.
Yeah, just ding, ding, ding.
No ding, ding, ding. Boom, 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 boom. And there's so many people in Scotland that are deaf.
And there's no ear protection?
No, we never had earplugs. It wasn't never a thing. Earplugs were never a thing.
Huh.
Nope, never. Our earplugs or earmuffs, never a thing. Just lately now I think they're doing it. Well, and now there's a lot of safety things because they're realising they've got that WMIS training.
Yeah, the chemical stuff.
The chemical stuff. No, that years ago there was nothing like that.
Well, you guys did all the work to figure out, we can do this a little better and we can last a little longer.
Yeah.
So retirement age for me is going to be 75 instead of 65.
There's a lot of that, but as I say, everything improves.
Right,
Yeah,
and
it does improve.
It's just natural human.
We never had masks.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I didn't even really hear about masks when I was in school either. There was, but they didn't really make us put them on.
Yeah, never had masks.
So you're just breathing all that in.
The welding helmets you got now, you can, as soon as the helmet goes down, as soon as you strike an arc,
right, flashes over. Well, I took some shopping classes and
it opens up so you can see through
it's just like a tint screen, right? It
Yeah.
just boom, goes right on. As soon as it sees an ounce of light, it sometimes even reacts to just regular light, where you kind of look and then it will just go black on you.
Yeah.
And
Well, when I was, for years and years and years, it was just a welding helmet, and you would go like that and put into that,
flick it, yeah.
and you wear out the discs in the back of your neck.
Yeah, you told me that I think
Yeah.
before, where it was you were saying that welders would always have neck problems.
Yeah,
and I was
because
like, why?
Always,
and then
you're always flicking your head.
Flicking, yeah.
And you don't realise you might end up, you could be flicking your head 300-400 times a day.
Right. Yeah.
Every time you change the welding rod.
Yeah. Flip it up,
it up.
flick it down,
Yeah.
flick it up,
And
flick it down.
you wear the disc in the back of your neck, the vertebrae in the back of your neck. Now, as I say, they got them instant masks that can.
Well, I do know. I think in the welding community, it's like almost cool if you have like the old style.
Is it? Well, I wouldn't think it's cool. Tell them to come and see me.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll tell them how cool it is.
Yeah.
You get up in the morning and your neck's so stiff. You're like, oh man. No, but there's a lot of difference in it, which is good. You know. It's
absolutely.
Everything else, you know.
And there's more metals they're finding now and combinations that you can do.
Oh, there's some team metals there now. It's unbelievable.
It is beautiful. Like, there's some beautiful art forms to welding as well. Like, you see some videos and the way they can just like layer that metal back and forth and connect it.
Yeah.
It makes some beautiful like art almost like rainbow effect.
Yeah.
Like, teardrop looking things. I don't know how to explain it, but.
Well, that's artistic stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
There's a chap up in London, Ontario, and he makes metal trees.
Yeah, like metal art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a big huge scrapyard up there, and they've got statues made out of metal, rusty metal, and people, you know, it's a scrapyard, but they've got whatever animal, flower, what you name it, they've got it, and it's not just a little thing. Some of these things are 10 feet high, you know.
Yeah.
Really nice.
I have a question. Would a house, if metal was more available and cheaper and all that, would it be better to build a house structurally wise out of metal than out of wood?
Well, first of all, it'd be cold.
True, I guess
It'd
it
be
would.
cold.
I guess it wouldn't hold in heat.
And then
I guess I'm not thinking like all metal, but maybe like the main support, like beams and like.
Well, you do get
like,
you do if sometimes you'll see in basements you'll see a metal I-beam. That's the stress beam that takes all the stress. But now they use galvanized. It's just something similar to 2x4 and all that.
Yeah, I have like 20 bars of galvanized steel right now. Of just like 1 by 1, but nothing crazy.
Yeah, well they use that mostly in commercial. They'll use galvanized instead of 2x4 and 2x6 and that. You know, but they don't use it. I mean, they don't welding it. No, I don't. I don't think. And it doesn't matter how much you protect it. I mean, if it still would rust.
Right. Yeah, I just don't know how
how
beneficial.
well
I guess I'm thinking long term. Like wood slowly rots and gets old, I guess.
Oh, and don't forget, Canada has such a vast amount of wood.
Yeah, we're loaded.
Yeah, I mean, it might be expensive right now. I don't know, but years ago it was one of the cheapest commodities going. Mm-hmm. So you know, it's all wooden houses, wooden shingles. You know, they do it now, but you know, it was just. And I say metal. How do you? It's a lot easier to cut a piece of wood with a saw than it is try to cut a big piece of metal with a cutting tool, making it fit, and then you have to weld it together, and then you know,
and then line it up and
line it up. You know, so wood's a lot easier to work with.
Yeah, I just didn't know if structurally wise it'd be better. Probably stronger, but maybe not.
But I do say that I don't know. Somebody told me they don't do it now. When we were at school, we had what you call, we had tech. We called them technology classes. Mm-hmm. We get taught metal work and we get taught woodwork.
Oh, okay.
And we get taught how to read blueprints, or the different side views, top view, side view, end view, isometric views. We get taught how to read them. I don't think they do that now, do they, in schools here?
No, I think they teach you how to read blueprints in school. If you go to college.
Yeah, but I'm talking about.
You mean regular standard school?
Regular.
Yeah, no, they don't.
We got it from junior high into high school.
Mm-hmm. But they're actually, I was just talking to a kid in high school, and they're opening up a program this year of you basically, it's like English, maybe one English and one math course, and then it's all shop classes, all trade courses, and you can actually work almost your whole senior year in that specialized workforce, like or work space.
Canada is going to need tradesmen.
I know. I told that kid that I was like, we are losing everybody right now.
The reason that we came over here is because he couldn't find. I first came over here and they say 70. The first time I started, 70 and I left in 72. There was 400 of us from the UK. 400 pipe welders. Coded pipe welders to work in the refinery expansion.
Yeah.
because I'm not blaming them, but because they couldn't get any people in Canada qualified enough. But they can't do it now because even Britain's not training people.
Really?
No, because where I came from, the shipyards, when you finish school on a Friday, you started your apprenticeship Monday in the shipyard.
Right. Yeah. There was no break. There was
no break, and there was, let me think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shipyards. On a length of Govan Road, it maybe be say maybe 2 mile long. So you started your apprenticeship right away. And as I say, but now those shipyards are all gone, so there's nobody doing apprenticeships. And of course, Canada can't go to the UK and say, "We'll take some of you." Well, we're looking for tradesmen. So, I strongly advise young people is, if you can get a trade, you take a trade.
Right. Well, I told that kid, it's the only reason why the world works how it works. You know what I mean? It's the only reason why buildings are still standing. So, if we're losing them all right now, like in 10 years from now, that's all they're gonna need, right? At that point, and it'll be worth your while, I think.
You get a trade. See, the big thing was, I thought the big mistake was, get computer experience. We're going to need that. We're going to need all these operators for computers.
Right, like electrician type, wire type, computer, technology type.
All the technology.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
So, one company had 200 guys working computers. 3, 4 years down the road, there's one computer working 200.
Right.
Them guys, But no, I honestly advise young people, if they get to take a trade.
Yeah.
You take it. When I was living up in Ontario, I got talking to a chap, and he was telling me he worked for a big, huge company that had apartment buildings. He retired. He was a plumber. He retired. And a year later, they called him, they asked him to come back to work, and they gave him fantastic. He came back to work. He was telling me. And he had a chat with him. This chap was from Syria. He was an immigrant into Canada. I think he was, he come up to fix the pipe in their apartment. I think the chap in Syria, I would say he would be maybe 29, 28, 29. And he was learning the plumbing trade. And it's unfortunate. I asked him, I said, why couldn't you get like some Canadian kids to get you? He said, you can't get them. He says, this chap in Syria was learning the trade. I mean, at 28, 29 years of age, that's kind of old to be learning any a trade,
Right, yeah, it's like.
But he says they can't get anybody. They cannot get anybody.
Yeah, I think it's extremely important. I honestly think that. I know a few people that were taking like carpentry classes, and I said that's so important because like that's going to help you with anything, and it can open so many opportunities. But I feel like a lot of people, how you can see everything on your phone, and you can almost see like any opportunity that you ever could see ever. You grew up where you only knew what was around you. You only knew the shipyard. You only knew that, and that you couldn't see. But some people are making millions, and some people are making companies and building things and doing dances. So everybody gets attracted to like those things and realize like, oh, why would I waste my time on building a house? You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense? Like, some people get in that headspace, I think, and
well,
I don't know how to explain that, but
I think as well that technology is a good thing, but
abused.
It's got its good points and its bad points. When I went to school, any exams we got, you got the exam, the paper, and there was and on the side of the paper was a big space, and you had to show in that space where you got that answer in math, or something like that. You had to show it, and if you didn't have that answer in that to show how you got to it, and if the answer was still right, you only get half a mark.
Right.
Unfortunately, kids too today just
Yeah, it's quick.
and it's there.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens if that goes? What happens if something happens? You don't have that.
Right.
I think what it is in my day, it made you think. You were using your brain all the time.
Right.
You were thinking and thinking and thinking about what you're going to do. How am I going to do this? How does it work out? What is it? With
that, it takes the whole building process out of the situation. It's just
what happened here in Sussex. When was it? Maybe 3 months ago, when all the ATM machines went down.
Yeah, nobody could use their card.
Nobody could use their card. I never seen so many people confused. Their cell phones.
Right.
What's happening?
Yeah, and it only was shut down for like what,
A
like
day.
30 hours maybe.
Yeah. What happened? There wasn't enough panic.
Right.
So it shows you how much we're actually getting dependent on these things.
Oh yeah. I mean, you told me a story yesterday that for the first time you walked out of your house, you felt in your pocket. Oh, I could use my cell phone on me just in case, you know.
See the thing, and that's what I'm saying. It's even affected me because that day that happened to me, if I had a home phone, well, I'd walk out the house.
Right.
I'd say, well, if somebody wants to get a hold of me, you can leave a message on the phone. But I got halfway down the road and I thought, oh, my cell phone. So even affected me. Oh,
Right.
I've got to have that cell phone, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I walked all the way back. When I walked back and I get in the house and I got the cell phone, I thought, man, have I become so dependent on this thing?
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah. And we have.
Oh, we have, yeah. Actually, I just watched a video this week, or maybe last week, of a kid who just got rid of all social media, everything on his phone. And he's like, I never felt like so much just like peace. He was just sitting in his room and he was just like, I'm just like, I feel bliss right now. He's like, I don't know how to explain it. He's like, I'm just content with like how I am doing right now in this moment. And he's like, I'm like, I don't even think about, what's going on.
Oh, I mean, they've got the big huge advantage to it. Like, I mean, if you're a businessman and you're in business or else, I mean,
news is incredible. You need to figure things out.
And how many people have been in an accident and off the road, and what have they done? Used their cell phone to get located by the emergency team.
Right.
It is, but I think at times it's a way too much,
Yeah, I know. It's but how do we control that? Like humans are so.
You can't. It's because it's just technology is advancing so fast.
Yeah.
Every minute of the day, it's getting more and more advanced. I seen an advert once on the TV, and it was showing you a kid, and she picked up her hand, and she pressed her palm, and it was it came up with digital phone.
Yeah.
And she was talking.
Oh yeah. Just nothing. Yeah.
Nothing.
Could be your wrist. Well, in the Bible it says there's going to be like a marking. What if that's digital? You know what I mean?
I'm not in the big conspiracy theories and that, but just think how easy it is for the government to track you.
Right. No, they know every move.
Yeah. They just do that.
Scary. Scary.
That's what I'm saying. It can be scary, but as I say, it's just, and as I say, I mean, when you think of it, just think how much even the medical faculties, how much they have advanced in the last 100 years. I mean, nowadays,
extremely.
Yeah, nowadays a heart transplant every day in accordance now. There's nothing
right
extraordinary about it. I remember the very first plant. Dr. Bernard was the very first heart plant. He was a South African. And I'm going way back years and years ago, and it was really big news then.
Right.
But now,
no. It's like, yeah, I got a heart transplant 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's nothing. Yeah, And as I say, you look at it, and I watched a fascinating documentary for a blind person. They had this. Oh, you ever see Star Trek?
No.
Well, there's a chap on it, he's got a thing, he's blind, but he puts a thing around here.
Yeah.
And he can see. Well, it was something similar to that. In the person's mind, objects were colours. It was connected to their brain. objects were colours, and
Very
it was
weird.
and it was just it was kind of it would be the shape.
It'd be the shape and the color, not
Yeah.
like the detail though.
No, the detail, but that
Just
was
kinda
like to them it was like wow, this is.
Yeah.
And I watched another one where a chap he had an artificial hand, and he was in New York, in a lab in New York, and there was a chap in a lab in London. Don't tell me how they done it, but the chap in London was using his own hand, like doing that, and the chap in New York was the artificial hand was going like that. How it was done, computer or what it was, I don't really know. I wasn't. It was amazing, but I can say to myself, wow. But that's the amazing things they can do.
Right. Yeah. Wonderful things.
But I think that was I say sometimes I just think we're too dependent on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's scary. But I mean,
It's technology.
somebody said one time, it's like, don't try to change the world. Like the world's gonna react or act how the world's gonna act. Like there's no way to like stop it. You know what I mean? Like or
No,
like
you can't.
veer
It's
it one
progress.
direction. It's like the world's gonna act the way the world's gonna act. And
It's progress.
right.
It's progress, but maybe I'm just being melodramatic. What's the word? Maybe I'm just looking for nostalgia, because I just think back. I just find it. I think when I was growing up and I was a kid and everything else, it was a lot more fun free. It was a lot more fun. It was a lot more.
Yeah, my boss, my boss at the university or whatever, he said, I'll tell you this. He said, when we were kids, we knew how to have fun. We knew how to make the use of the time that we had.
And we didn't need money.
Right.
We had our biggest thing in the year was school holidays, 2 months off.
Mm.
And that was the summer, 2 months off in the summer, and that was great. And we would make our own fun, and we were there making it all day. Didn't need money, just going, and never ever took a bus or nothing. Walked all over the place.
Yeah. And you still do now.
I know. Maybe I'm getting through a second childhood.
Yeah. Living it in the old age now.
No, I like to walk.
Yeah. You don't have your driver's license, so you don't really have a choice to.
No, I never had one here in Canada. I drove in the UK when I came over here, never bothered, and I never bothered.
Crazy.
And yet I've seen a lot of countries. Never drove a car.
Yeah. Which is crazy. Somebody was always around to give you a drive, eh?
Yeah. But it's just. I mean, Canada's different because it's such a vast country.
Mm.
And
A lot of space.
Big space. Britain, the whole of Britain is totally different.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's. I'm trying to. I'm not sure, but I think it's 800 mile long. The whole of Britain. 800.
Right.
And it's only maybe you're lucky if it's 100 mile wide.
Yeah, I do need to travel more because I do have a lack of perception on other people's lives and kind of the way they live because I have no idea,
Yeah.
And just like being on this side of the western side, it's like that's all I really know. I don't know how others live, and I mean some places you probably don't want to go to. But
see, the thing about like in Europe, the countries are joined together. There's no big ocean in between them.
Mm.
So, and if you belong to the countries that all belong to what I call the common market, your passport takes you into any of them countries. You can go work in any of them countries.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You don't need work permits or nothing. You can work in any of them countries, doesn't matter where you go, all over.
Mm.
And the transportation system is way, 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 way far superior
Here?
than here, what you've got here.
Oh, theirs is better.
Oh, way superior.
Like with Metro, like the.
Oh yeah, you can. The city of Glasgow, I can go around the whole city. The city of Glasgow's got 1 million people in it, and I can go in the subway, what you would call a metro. I don't know, they call it a metro here or something.
Well, they call it the subway as well.
And I can go right round the city of Glasgow, and I think there's 22 stops where you can get off, different stops.
All over.
All over. You can get the bus. The bus service is unbelievable. When you become 65, you don't pay for the bus.
Really?
Yeah.
That's good though.
Yeah, you don't. And even if you're travelling, say from one end of the different part of the country, you get big huge discounts. But the bus service is way, way superior. The bus service is so is the train service. But it's because it's small.
Right.
It's not. I mean, I can understand. As I say, understand Canada. Canada's so big.
Yeah, I think we just have one train that goes from like Montreal to BC, and that's like it.
Yeah. Well. I mean,
I don't know how many subway. I really don't know how many trains we have around the cities. I mean, Toronto and Montreal must have them.
Well,
Vancouver.
they've got a subway system.
Yeah, I've actually never been in any of them, so I don't know.
I've been in the one in Montreal, but as I say, it's just that the Canada's so vast.
Mm.
I mean, most of us live on the coast. Most of us live in. We don't. There's not many people live inland. Really.
Right, and I think over 50% of the population lives along like the American border. Like they're all.
So so there's just the transportation, and it is hard for Canada for a transportation system because of the vast difference.
Yeah.
The distance you've got to travel.
Right.
I mean, I can go from Glasgow to Edinburgh. I can go from the west coast to the east coast, Glasgow to Edinburgh, and the train 3/4 of an hour.
Wow, that's quick.
I can go from Glasgow Central Station to London, England. I think it took, the last time I was on it was just over 4 hours.
Is that faster by
train
than it is?
Oh yeah. I can go from Glasgow to Inverness, up north to Scotland, just under 4 hours.
So that big bridge, that famous bridge in northern Scotland.
The Forth, that stretches the.
Is there 4 of them, or is there?
No, just the Forth. Fourth. That's the name for the Forth.
Oh,
okay. The one you see is a new one. There was an older one than that, and there was a big accident that way back years and years ago, and then so they built that new Forth railroad bridge. But it's my niece, where she lives, you can see that bridge. You can see she looks right out in that hole.
Seriously?
That hole. They call it the Firth of Forth.
Oh, okay.
She looks. She.
Can you repeat that?
Firth.
Firth.
Firth. Firth. Firth.
Firth.
Of Forth.
Fourth. Firth of Forth.
Yeah. And you can look out in that, and she can see for miles out in the ocean and everything else.
That's beautiful.
See that bridge. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's.
Would Scotland be a good place to live?
Expensive.
It's pricier?
Oh, very expensive.
I thought it'd be cheaper than Canada.
No, very expensive.
What makes it expensive? Just like like the import price and stuff of everything, and
yeah. I'll tell you, because it's they import a lot. I had a friend of mine, Joe. He during the war, Joe was old. Joe was 10 years older than me. So during the war, he would go through the war as a child. I was born in 48. Joe would be born in 38. So he believe it or not, he got shipped to Canada. At that time, what they done was they took a lot of children out of Scotland and England because of the bombing, and they sent them to Canada to live with foster parents till the war was over.
Yeah.
Well, Joe him and his brother get sent to Quebec, on a farm in Quebec. Well, I met Joe after this in Canada.
Yeah.
Sitting down in St. John, he was telling me, Joe was telling me now, was he 7 or 8? Joe was 9, his brother was 7. And they gave him a banana, right?
Yeah.
And he never seen a banana in his life before.
Really?
Didn't know what it was.
Interesting.
And he didn't, because in Scotland, we never had things like that. We had apples and maybe oranges that were imported, and we had pears and apples and plums.
A very limited food source, though? Is it like...
It was just there was people that had bananas, but we couldn't afford them, But they gave Joe this banana, and Joe Yeah, he didn't know what it was.
Is this a toy or something? Or?
You know, that's what you do with this.
Yeah.
And then there was some other kid peeled it for him.
Wow.
I told him eat it.
Eat it.
He was like, yeah, oh yeah.
Interesting.
Well, I mean, I can remember in Scotland that I was born 2 years after the war finished, but I can still remember, even as a kid, my mother would go down to the town hall, and you would get a big huge tin of powdered milk, and a big huge tin of powdered egg.
Yeah, that was so popular back then, though.
Well, there was no part with that. It was necessity. That's all you could get.
Yeah, seriously.
And she would get a big, huge bottle of enormous cod liver oil,
Cod liver.
and a big, huge bottle of orange juice.
What do you use cod liver for?
That was to give to us. You gave it to your kids.
Just for sick reasons, like.
No, it was supposed to help
Like
you build,
boost you
and all that. You know.
Do you think it does?
No, I
You
can't.
don't think so?
No, I can't. No. We were always sure my mother found the biggest spoon in the drawer to give us the cod liver oil, because you got the cod liver oil and and then you took a big mouthful of the orange juice.
Yeah, you need something to chase it down.
Well, even to this day, if you opened up a can of sardines for me, and I tried to eat a sardine, I would be sick.
Matt, I eat sardines like every day.
Well, I couldn't. I'd be sick.
Really?
I cannot stand. I can't stand oil.
Like fish oil or
Fish
anything?
oil, any of that. Even oil in a salad. I wouldn't eat oil in a salad.
But Scotland's famous for fish and chips, so.
Fish and chips.
And you like fish and chips.
I like fish and chips,
But
but
you
there's
don't
a
like-
big difference between having a nice fish and chips dinner and a big spoonful of cod liver oil.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Is it chunky or is it just all liquid?
It's liquid,
All liquid.
and it was terrible.
Is it still common in Scotland?
No. And
I'd like to try it just to say I tried it.
Oh no, I don't think you'd even get it in liquid form. I've seen it on a
Was it just a big vitamin or omega-3 type
something. Yeah, I've
okay.
seen it in the stores here where you can buy it in a
pill form?
pill form.
Yeah. Well, it's the classic like fish oils and
Yeah, fish
just
oil,
fish
you know.
oils, but
But I still remember ration cards. We had still had ration cards
for food.
Yeah.
For the why did
yeah.
you need that? Just
Well, still go to the store, and you're only allowed so much. If there was, you'd maybe only be allowed.
was it for the population of Scotland? Everybody got it?
everybody? Yeah.
Wow.
Even England as well. It was because it was just that it was still, as I say, after the war, and it was, don't forget the war cost practically bankrupt the whole of the whole of Europe, and you're like the ration card, you would only get, say, if there was, I'm just using for simplicity, you'd only allow 4 apples
Right.
a week or something, and maybe 4 oranges, and, you know. But
Do you think the world would be better like that if were all given a limit based on how many people you have in your family and household or whatever? Do you think it'd be better to run a country like that?
No, because everybody has a different metabolism.
True. Yeah.
Everybody has a. I mean, what would fill you wouldn't maybe fill me. What your mum eats, would that fill you?
No, it'd kill me.
Yeah,
I'd be
there
dead.
you go.
I'd be dead.
There you go. So
She eats
you know.
one egg in the morning.
No,
and
I think, but I don't. I mean, honestly, I don't see in this world today why anybody starves. They
Right.
shouldn't.
Right.
We produce enough food. They shouldn't. There's an article that I read in there that, believe it or not, Canadians waste 40% of their food.
Yeah, I believe that.
But
I'm not any good at saving my food.
well, the thing is, you see, I believe this or not, I never waste food.
No, yeah, you're good, I think.
I never waste it because there's too many people in this world starving. There's no need for anybody to starve in this world, but it's because of the way we run our economies in each world.
Mm.
We dump millions of eggs.
Oh, unbelievable.
And
Well,
milk,
actually, I got
and
real perspective on food when I went to the university that I worked at. And it's not a big university, but just seeing the bulks of food that they use every day, 7 days a week, and then to think that there's like schools with 100,000 kids. Do you know what I mean? Like they're feeding for 20,000 kids every day. Could you imagine? Like,
you take even the schools here are putting breakfasts on for kids.
mm,
And I'm not saying the parents are at fault, it's just the system.
right.
Everything's cost so much now.
Well, when I was a kid, even though I had breakfast in the morning, I'd still go to those breakfast things, and I'd still go eat because I don't
Yeah,
know.
but you were a gannet.
Yeah, what's a gannet?
A gannet's a bird, but all that gannet does is eat fish all the
Oh,
time.
that's all he does?
It never fills. He's never full.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So in Scotland,
I am never full, so.
in Scotland, they would call you a gannet.
A gannet.
No, but we shouldn't. There's no need for anybody starving in this world.
Yeah.
No need for that. But as I say, it's the way economies have worked. It's the way, if all these eggs they throw in, they get destroyed and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if the way they look at it, if they put it on the market, the price of eggs would go way down.
Right.
So they destroy them. I think it's terrible. I think it's terrible how much we waste. Not only in Canada. I remember in the UK years and years ago, they sent, it was to some African country that were going through a famine, and they sent, what was it they sent? I believe it was potatoes and some other vegetable. They sent tons, and it rotted in the warehouses. It went to rot because the country they sent it, they didn't have the distribution system to get it to all these villages and all that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know that happens, but I still think. I mean, you'd probably be surprised how many people there are living in refugee camps.
Right.
Do you ever think about them?
Not too often.
No. You ever hear about them?
Not too often.
No, because they're no news.
Right.
And we'd rather have put them in the back of our mind than they're not there.
Mm-hmm.
You imagine living in a refugee camp?
No, it'd be like it's torture.
Yeah, you're actually a stateless person. You don't have a country.
Right. You're just like you're in like no man's land. Like you're in a dead zone. Like there's
and
just
if you want to go to another country, you want to immigrate. Where do you get a passport?
right.
A refugee passport.
Good luck.
And
right.
The education system's chaotic. There's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And so is the medical facilities. As I say, it's the world. It's the world today. What it's like. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I was a couple podcasts ago. I was talking to a guy, and I just told him I don't know what it would take to run humans. Like I don't know what it takes to. Like, how do you handle 8 billion people? You know what I mean? How does that work? Like, everybody with an individual mind and an individual...
That's the other part of the problem. Somebody always wants to be the boss.
Well, people like power, right?
Like power.
Yeah, in the wrong hands.
Yes, that's what happens.
Yeah, I don't know. No, I always wonder... I don't know. I'm always curious about how, like, you can guide and, like, I don't know... manage humans, not in the sense of that I want to manage like and control people, just in the way like how could everybody function at a proper rate? But it's never going to happen because it's impossible to get people in the right. And there's a lot of evil in this world that we don't hear about. That there's there's humans that will do anything to get their grip on people or whatever.
Oh, they want the power and the money and the prestige and it's unfortunate, but it happens.
Right.
You think of all the people that's immigrated into Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And I can honestly say, and I know a few of them, and their big, huge thing, education for their children.
Right.
They're very strong in education.
Number one thing.
Very strong.
Any person that you see come from outside of Canada, I met a woman from Germany. I worked with her. Well, I was just a summer student, and but her kids, she was like, one has to be a lawyer, one has to be a doctor, and the other one, she's lucky because she can be whatever she wants to be. Yeah, but she actually teaches her kids 2 more hours of school after supper because she doesn't think the school does enough for her own kids, so she makes her kids do more. Which I was like, that's like you're setting your kids up for success. That's
the thing. The education is the biggest thing that when immigration people come here, first thing they want to do is they get their kids educated, get them into college, into universities.
Right. But then there's a balance. It's like you need to be you need to understand how the world works and not just go to good on paper too. That's a hard one too, right? Because you said like you should always go to Europe and you should check out these places, but it's like, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like, I want to get this good education, but I also want to learn outside of school, but it's hard to do both.
Well,
because you have like a timeline, and most people go to school, and then once they get their education, then they start working, and things start to settle and slow down, and they start to
oh, you mean you go older?
well, you do get older, but like you got responsibilities where there's another person you're with, you know what I mean, and then eventually you're gonna breed another little tribe of your own, and then
Well, I know what you mean. I know that. Yeah, yes.
So it's like, how do you find the balance of like, let me learn about the world as well as let me learn about certain areas? I don't know. It's a weird.
Well,
it's a weird pull.
I know. That's
because you could take welding and you can weld and you're an expert in welding, but if that's all you did, you lose knowledge in other areas and you learn insight on other.
I always read.
Yeah. You're a huge history guy, right?
Yeah, I always read. I read history and I read a lot of things, and it's one of the reading is one of the greatest things you can ever do, because you learn a lot of things about a lot of different countries. And don't get me wrong when I say this, television. If you look at there's things you see in television you'll never see in your lifetime. Mm-hmm. Like they do documentaries of different parts of countries and animals and. You'll never see it in your life. Mm-hmm. They explore the ocean. They go down a mile into the ocean there or something like that, in deep sea, and they show you these fish that you know,
like the swordfish, and it's just like
20 years ago you'd never think what's down there.
Yeah, your imagination couldn't even think of that. So.
But you see, it's educational,
right?
And I always found that reading, and I always find that I've read it. You've got to keep your mind active.
Yeah, that's the important most. Well,
keep your mind active.
I didn't know the saying, but idle mind is the devil's workshop.
Yeah, it is.
And I never knew that was a saying. But then one day I was sitting on the couch and I was just like, idle mind, devil's workshop. I was like, that makes so much sense. Because if I'm not doing with my body,
that's right,
or doing with my mind, it's just like things start to blossom. You know?
And that's what I'm saying. And reading is a great. The library is one of the most educational places in the world, and it's free. Mm-hmm. The library.
Yep.
The library here, I'm amazed. This library here in Sussex.
Yeah.
I'll go in there probably. I go on my walks. I'll pop into the library, and I'm amazed because in that library you can check out guitars.
Yeah.
You can check out
fishing rods.
Fishing rods. You can check out big pots if you're going to make a big pot.
Big turkey dinner for Thanksgiving.
You can check out gardening tools. You can. There was skis. There was cross country skis at one time, and you can check you can check out if you want to do macrame or learn knitting or stuff. Mm-hmm. And I was totally amazed.
Yeah.
And I said,
that's a good library.
Great. That's a good library for the size of Sussex. That is a great library.
Yeah.
It's a really fantastic library. I don't think it's really. But I was totally amazed when I seen this.
Yeah.
And of course they got the computers there as well. You can use the computers.
And then the books, obviously.
I was totally amazed. I was like, oh man, this is a great place.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I just say I've seen me get down there and I'll walk from home into the library, and I'll get in there maybe 2-3 hours in there, and I'll come out and I'll just walk home again.
Yeah.
As I say, you've got to keep your mind active and things.
Right. What do you think about when you go on walks? Anything and everything?
Oh yeah, you have your mind. You think about things in your mind.
It's crazy how it does that, eh?
Yeah, you just you maybe think about something that happened last week.
Right.
And then there's something else that's maybe happened yesterday. You think, oh well, yeah. Or you might be like, I was building flower boxes for the side of my house, and I was walking along the road. I was thinking, how would I do that now? How would I do those?
Right.
Things different. But I say you've got to keep your mind active. Mm. It's unfortunate, but some people, they just sort of when they finish work at 65,
Right.
Yeah. And I think you do. I think this day and age as well, you've got to have a little bit of exercise.
Oh, it's the most crucial thing.
I think so. I think if you're getting the exercise, a bit of exercise, if your body's healthy, your mind's healthy.
Well, somebody did a study that actually like your muscles getting like stress on them will release chemicals that are like antidepressant chemicals to your brain, where it literally fulfills the stress chemicals. I don't know what I'm saying right now, but it will literally feed your mind stress-free chemicals, where it's like,
I mean, if you're feeling good, exercise, when you look at yourself, well, yeah, I look pretty good, for the shape. I mean,
for 75, you look great.
Your mind feels great. Your mind feels great.
Yeah, I mean, I heard somebody say, if you can look in the mirror naked and feel confident, like if you look at yourself and you like how you are, nobody can take that away from you, right? Well, and that's like a confidence that you can just walk around with constantly.
I can only see my six pack because I don't have a long mirror. I can only see my six pack.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes it develops into a 12 pack.
So you forget if you have a beard or not, right? So.
Sometimes it develops into a 12 pack if it sinks,
Yeah.
But I always say it's like a pirate's chest. It's sunken treasure. No, it's just that, No, you keep your mind active.
So when you're picking for gold, you're really getting gold then, eh?
I am getting gold. You won't believe it.
No, I think that's probably the best advice you could tell people. Keep your mind active.
Keep your mind active.
It's true. I mean, it's endless education. I think the people that are miserable forget to continue to figure things out.
And it's not. I think it's not even that, but it's. I think it's just a human naturist thing as well, that it's very easy to slip into just to being having an idol.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Just
slipping into a lifestyle that's.
Yeah, the convenience, the comfortability. It's just. I know exactly.
And don't forget as well, we are a nation we're brought up in the car. We're brought up to the car.
Yeah.
We are a nation for that, But
world's gonna do what the world's gonna do.
But it's telling you honestly, but it's still a great country.
Yeah.
It is. It's a great country. And I've worked a lot of places.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of places that you'd say, that's a great place.
You've done well.
Canada's a great country.
Yep. Kind of lost for words. I think we're going to end it here, though.
Okay.
We did a lot of good things. Can you give 3 pieces of advice for everybody? I've never done this before, but
3 pieces of advice for everybody.
Young and old.
Smile.
Smile. At every face you see?
Everybody you see, smile at them. When you meet people, say hello. Good morning.
Actually, I hate that. I hate going to cities, and I'll walk past people on the street, and I will go, "How you doing?" And I forget, like, nobody in cities do that. It's just like it's just cross.
Yeah,
but being from a small town, you're like,
but
"Hey, how's it going? How you doing?"
But that's okay, because if you say in the big city you smile or say good morning to somebody 10 times, 9 of them might know the time, but that 1/10th guy might turn and say to somebody else, "Oh, hello."
Right, might be a good change.
And be polite.
Be polite. Like we started the podcast off with.
Yeah, you be polite, yeah.
Yeah.
Be polite. Yeah, and you always listen to the other person's point of view.
Yeah, that's important.
Everybody has a point of view.
Right.
And he's entitled to, he or she's entitled to their point of view just as much as you are.
Mm-hmm.
And you be polite. And be polite and listen to the point of view.
Yeah.
And have a better world.
Yep. Smile, say hello, and be polite.
There you go.
That's a good 3-step program for anybody interacting with a human.
That's right.
Yeah. Smile, say hello.
Be polite.
Well, and be active.
And active, yes. There's 4 points.
And before we end the podcast, a good way to be active is to go to piccadillycoffee.ca and get some coffee, and your mind will be more active with an extra, have a boost to be more active.
Boost, yes.
But don't forget, go to piccadillycoffee.ca, Mitchell Jones 20 for a discount code of 20% off all your purchases. Pretty good.
There you go.
Thank you, Matt, for being on the podcast.
You're more than welcome.
The Scotsman is out.